I have some good news, so I thought I'd share it with you. Um, our Parisian neighbours are in next door, or Francoise is our Parisian neighbour, and she's there with her sister, and I think it looks like two nieces and nephews, or no, probably younger than that. So I don't know what you call them when they're the next generation down. Anyway, they've been ringing the doorbell or ringing our bell, and two dogs out escaped from next door. Two dogs. So the one pleasing thing about that is that there are two dogs, and it isn't a dog alone that I've been hearing, and that that is constantly crying and sounding neglected and abandoned and all of that. The even better news is they look in really good condition, um, running around, really happy, obviously happy to be escaped. Um, their coat looks in good condition. They look well fed. They look fine, and that's really pleasing, really pleasing. Because I know that when I'm hearing what I'm hearing, it's not a dog on its own, um, and that there are two dogs, and that I know that they are being fed. I know that the dogs, they don't get walked, and they don't get out, a bit like the pigeons don't get out. So they were absolutely beside themselves, the dogs, running up and down the hamlet, running around, jumping up at people, pissing off my Parisian neighbours. I managed to stroke one of them, not the Parisian neighbour, the dog. And just, it's such a relief to know that they're well. And because we have experienced a dog being allowed to die next door. So these do not look, they look quite young, one of them very young. Um, so yeah, I thought I'd let you know. What good news is that? That will please a lot of you, I know. Certainly pleases me. What is it? Temper. I've got a doctor's appointment in a couple of hours. My throat overnight, um, once my analgesia had worn off, was back to how it was Saturday morning when I started with it. It was very painful, and it's painful now. And somebody has said to me, it could be COVID. I was planning to wear a mask anyway at the doctor's, but I'll definitely be wearing a mask. But I had old test kits at home from the UK that we bought back a couple of years ago, and I used one of those today. But the little ampules with the buffer liquid in, even though they're supposedly, completely sealed, had evaporated, so there was hardly any buffer liquid, and I had to use 5 ampules of buffer liquid to come up with enough for 2 drops. I'm not sure I did my test well. I'm not, trying to shove a swab down your throat and up your nose is not easy. And I'm sure that he'll do a test today if he thinks that this is COVID. I feel a bit congested now, so it just might be something. I don't know, but I'm pleased I'm going to the doctor's. But it's late enough that I won't be able to pick up. If he gives me antibiotics, I won't be able to pick anything up till tomorrow morning. So, but what I have discovered is that my codeine and paracetamol, of which I have a lot, because I've been given it for other pain that I no longer take it for now, that does work reasonably well. And the odd thing is that overnight, when I'm sleeping, every time I'm asleep, I don't feel it. It's only when I wake up and turn over and swallow that it hurts like fuck. So I am managing to sleep, which is good. But it would be good to just be getting rid of it, really. This is now day, I don't know how many hours, 48, in between 48, no, 48 and whatever the next one is, 56, or whatever. Not very nice. I've been watching, did I tell you this? I've been watching Long Lost, Long Lost Lives or something, about mothers looking for their children that they have to give up for adoption, or adopted children that are looking for their mothers that gave them up for adoption, or siblings looking for siblings that were given up for adoption, or fathers that are looking for children that were given up for adoption. And it's absolutely um, very, very sad, very, very sad to think back to those days in the 50s and the 60s and probably into the 70s, when it wasn't okay to be an unmarried mother. It wasn't okay to have a child out of wedlock. And some of the language used in the mother and baby homes, and when admitting a woman, the reason for her admission, immorality, very judgmental stuff coming that you see has been written in the adoption papers. It's absolutely appalling. And then Mark reminded me, and we looked after people like this. I certainly came across people in the last place I worked in Devon, and he did when he worked in mentally handicapped nursing. Women that had been declared mentally unwell, or back then there was called retarded. I'm going to use that word because my brain's not really working, because they got pregnant. And I can remember looking after a woman in Devon who had been in the system for years and years and years, and she was in her 60s, and I think she'd had at least a child out of wedlock. And the sad thing about that, and the thing that would make you angry about that, is that the father of that child was her father. So this is just fascinating to watch this, and very, very moving, very moving. And they're old programs, I think, that have been on years ago, and I don't see those sort of things and haven't watched them, so I'm watching them on YouTube. And it's Davina McCall and Nikki Campbell, who are both of them really very empathetic and lovely people hosting these. So I'm sort of binge watching that at the moment. So that's it. That's the good news for the day, and I'll keep you posted on what's going on with me. Hopefully it's just a sore throat that I get something for, just to get rid of it. Okay, à plus.